I'm here with the 1992 Acura NSX, and I'm standing about, I'd say about 7 or 8 feet away from the vehicle. So this is the way it presents itself. This is the way you would expect to see it if you're looking at it from this distance. I'm not seeing any cosmetic flaws. Paint looks like it's got a nice luster to it. So let's go ahead and dial right on in. Looking at the front bumper area, always give it a couple of taps, make sure everything's nicely secured. Good. Right, the paint is smooth to the touch, and I'm not seeing any blemishes here on the front end, like rock chips, right? So it looks pretty clean. Looking at the hood, let's get some paint meter readings. Okay, 10. So this meter here reads in the mils or thousandths of an inch. So what we want to do is we want to see consistency. So 10, 9, good. I mean, I still consider that consistent. 10, all right. Looking at the, before we get to the fender, just take a quick look at the windshield. What I do here is I check for any rock chips, cracks, signs of delamination. Windshield looks pretty good. I'm not seeing anything obvious jumping out at me. I also get a shot of the public VIN ID, and I'll cross-reference that with everything else. While I'm here, I like to get a shot of the dash, and I'm looking for cosmetic blemishes or defects in workmanship or materials from the factory as well, or some that might deteriorate over time. Looking at the roof panel, looks good. And again, here I think that's this tree sap, which is just wiping right off, but looks flawless. Okay. Same with the glass. I'm not seeing any chips nor any scratches. Let's go ahead and start the paint meter reading again on the left front fender. Let's get a nice view of the paint here. Nicely done. I'm not seeing any rock chips or sandblasting or anything, right? So 5. So considerably different from what we got in the hood. We'll check the adjacent panels and see where we're at with that. Okay. Also, while I'm here, I'd like to just get a quick look at the wheel well area, and I'm just checking to see if the tires ran over anything or kicked something up and damaged the underside. Nobody ever checks this stuff here, but we do. All right, and I always try to get as many different angles as possible. And then here's a quick side view of the panels. What I'm doing here is I'm checking for any signs of waviness, dings, or dents. Looking at the outside mirror, I always like to check that because they get scratched up or scuffed, banged up because they are protruding. And then a shot of the rest of the vehicle. Here, the tire, I'm not seeing any sidewall damage. Tire is a Yokohama 205/50 R15. 96V is a speed rating there. DOT, the date of manufacture on this, looks like it's on the 19th week of 2014. Looking at the outside rim here we can see the curb rash that you had mentioned in the photos. So it is gouged, but that can be corrected by a rim company. They can just fill that and then reshoot it. A clear shot of the brake rotor. The surface looks even. I'm not seeing any gouges or lips or signs of excess wear. And then here's a quick shot of the brake pad if I can get it. Try to work that angle a little bit here. And we can take a look at the thickness. I'll have to review that myself later on in the when I look at the video myself. Okay. All right. Let's get some door panel readings. 4.5, good. Door handle area. All right, well, hopefully that stops on its own. Okay, so we know the alarm works. All right, looking at the quarter panel, 6. 4. Let me do that again. 6.5, 4.5, 4. 4.5, 3.5. So a difference in reading. So when I see that, I just look for signs of repaint or quality workmanship. I'm not seeing any issues really jumping out at me. Just a minor little rock chip there. I would say that's not a big deal. Okay, looking at the left rear wheel well area. Just a quick shot here. Nice view of the strut assembly and spring or coil. And outside tire, Yokohama, same manufacturer date, 2014. Not seeing any sidewall damage. Rim looks pretty decent. Here's a shot of the rotor. Looks smooth. Don't see any signs of excess wear. And let's see if we get that brake pad. I think I see it right there, and that looks pretty thick, almost 7 or 8 millimeters, I'm guessing. All right. Every time I think I see a scratch, it's just some tree sap on there. So far this thing is really clean. Okay. Just a quick view of the roof line here. And I checked the rear glass for chips, delamination, or cracks. I also look at the defroster lines. They look like they're complete and haven't been damaged. Let's get the trunk. 4.5 solid reading. Bumper here, not seeing anything obvious as far as any scrapes. They usually get beat up a little bit. No excess rattles. Good. Okay. And then quarter panel readings. 5.5, 4.5, 5. Good. Looking at the band here, looks decent. Don't see any dents. And then a roofline view from this angle here. Again, glass. And let's get the door. 4.5, 5. And let's get the right fender. 5.5 and 5. All right, one shot of the windshield here from the right side, and a view of the dash as well. And I'll still be looking at it from the inside, just to look at everything without any obstructions. Right front wheel well area. Okay, I'm gonna move a little faster here as I'm starting to linger on. Okay. All right, and I'm not seeing anything obvious here. And then the right front tire, same Yokohama, 2014. The rotor looks good, and see if we can get a shot of the brake pad. And one final view before I'm moving on. On this segment of the video, what I like to do is I like to capture the first starting of the vehicle. That way you can experience what I am. So here we go. So first thing we want to see is we want to see all the indicator lights coming on, check engine, airbag, brake lights, whatever fault lights the instrument cluster is equipped with. We want to see that illuminate. That way we know that it's working and they haven't been tampered with. And we want to see these lights go out once the engine starts running after a second or two. If it all checks out, normally that clears up. But I see the anti-lock, battery, oil light. Let's see, fuel's at half or just below half, and the odometer reading is at 9940, so 9,940. So here we go. All right. All right, so all the lights have cleared off. The RPM is high right now. It's just around 1400. The engine is cold, so typically the idle does seem to be a little higher when it runs cold. So we'll keep an eye on that to see if it drops. Let's see here. What did I experience? The starter engaged right away. Didn't hear any abnormal noises like it's sticking. Fired right up. I thought it felt a little rough at first. Again, we don't know the age of the motor mounts or what have you, but when we drive it, we'll see what I experienced then. Oil pressure looks like it's above the halfway mark. Idle has dropped just a little bit here, and I don't like to rev it when the engine's cold, but I'll do it lightly, but nothing too aggressive. Okay. So that's about as aggressive as I'll get. I want to let the engine warm up, actually. So in doing that, typically the idle does drop a little bit, but not yet. So we'll definitely circle back on this segment of the video. What we're going to do now is we're going to walk towards the rear of the vehicle. What we want to do is, or what we don't want to see, is any type of smoke coming out of the tailpipes, whether it be black, blue, gray, or white. That all means something, but if it's just like condensation, that's acceptable. So looking at the back here, I'm not seeing any smoke. We're gonna dial in a little closer to the exhaust. All right. I stayed quiet there for a moment there because I just want to listen to the tone, listen to if I hear any backfiring, which I'm not hearing. And also, I like to look at the exhaust pipe really close because I'm checking for excess soot, and I'm not seeing that. So far so good. Left bank, and then now the right bank. All right, same as before. Just stay quiet there for a second so we can listen and also look at the way the emissions is burning. Going here towards the engine bay area, everything looked like it's in order. Firewall, inner quarter panels all looked clean and in order. Didn't see any signs of impact damage. It looks pretty, it looks pretty original to me. So far from poking around, I'm not seeing any external oil leaks, and the coolant looked like it was in good shape. Don't hear any abnormal noises. I'll be using a stethoscope after I'm done with this segment of the video. If I hear any abnormal noises, what I do is I dial in on specific parts of the engine, top side, low side, also the individual pulleys that I have access to. I'll be listening to that in detail. Here on the right side of the vehicle, here firewall looks like it's in shape. It's got all the decals, and the pulleys, I got a nice shot of that. Didn't see any cracks or excess wear. Right. I also get a look to see what the pulleys are doing, or checking for wobbleness is mainly what I'm looking for, and they look pretty dead on. Again, you can see how clean the engine bay area is. It's just really tidy. Right. The only thing I couldn't check is what I like to look at, even though I was able to pull the dipstick, the oil looked like it was in great shape. Didn't see any signs of cross-contamination. I also like to look at the oil cap, but I couldn't I couldn't twist it open. Give me 1 second. All right, I don't remember where I left off. I had to stop the video for a second just to move the car so somebody can get out. But with that pause in the video, I was able to use the stethoscope. Use this, and then I hit the key points of the engine, and I didn't hear any abnormal noises or like signs of bearing failure. So that all sounded good. Again, the engine's been running for a couple of minutes now. I'm going to actually let it idle for 10 or 15 minutes while I look at the rest of the car and see how it does. The advantage of doing that is when the engine will get to proper temperature, so I can drive it a little bit more aggressively when that time comes. And also it heat soaks the suspension as well, so that it'll loosen it up a little bit. So if there's something that's kind of a bit on the weak side, hopefully we can pick it up on the brief road test. And moving on. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and do the video of the underside, and we'll just take a quick look underneath and see if anything stands out here. Again, just we know about the little bit of the driveway rash here on the lower lip. I wouldn't consider that a deal breaker there. And looking at the bottom side as well, it gives me a good view of the upper panels, and I'm not seeing any stress cracks. And everything appears to be in order. Not seeing anything banged up, cracked up. Don't even see any curb rash there on these plates here, which that's what those are for. Okay. Wheels spin freely. Looks pretty much untampered with. Yeah. And there will be points where I'm kind of quiet. I'm just kind of looking myself. Here it looks like a little runoff coming from the master cylinder. So I didn't see that from the top side. You can see the moisture right there. So it's just something that, to put on your punch list to, get this thing, 100% again. So, it looks like, yeah, there's a little runoff right there. So, plates look good. Everything in order. Bushings are not cracked. Good. Yeah. And I've already got that on video already. Don't see any signs of impact here. No rust. Really solid looking car. Good. All right. All right. And again, I'm not talking too much. I'm seeing everything here for the first time myself, so. Everything's solid. Here's a good view of the engine. Okay. All right, so we can see some wetness coming from here, from the front crankshaft seal, and you can see it here as well. But I didn't see it to the extent to where it's dripping on the floor. And I didn't see any oil leaks either. But again, this is something to add to your punch list or be fully aware of its condition. Here you can see where there are just some leaks right there. So you might get a couple little drops from those. That looks like from the oil pan area. I don't see anything any higher, but again, this is not a diagnosis. These are just observations. It'd be best that you take it to your technician so that way they can do a proper assessment. View the top side. Okay, exhaust looks good. Exhaust hangers, good. All right. So definitely a nice example. And one final look at the back end. And the panels, good. All right. I'll go ahead and conclude. All right, so I've been road testing already, and then here, being on Saturday, I had a chance of getting it on the freeway. Typically, the traffic is too heavy, but we're going to go ahead and capture some of that experience here right now as I get on. And I'll go through the gears, but so far it's been performing very well. So downshifting into first. Start off at first. Clutch engagement is smooth, real stiff, no issues there. It's first. Okay, just below 8,000. No hesitation whatsoever. Let's see if I can get in front of this car here. Third gear, nice acceleration. Fourth. Fifth, and fifth gear. Yep, no issues whatsoever. No real serious shimmy coming from the steering wheel. This veers slightly to the right, but then again there might be a little bit of crowding, but nothing mechanical. Let's see here, just keeping an eye on the RPM gauge, and looks like the odometer is working. I'll have to check the out mileage as well. There was no shimming coming from the brakes when I applied them, and what else? Horn works, wipers worked. Wipers need to probably get replaced. So I took a picture of that to see what they look like. All the electronics work. The only thing that I couldn't verify is the operation of the radio. So I'm going to start downshifting now. So at fourth, again, no shimming whatsoever. I'm going to be a little bit hard on it. Third, okay. Again, when I step on the brakes, pretty solid. I'm not hearing any creaks or rattles coming from the suspension. And coming to a stop here now. And I'll go ahead and shut down the video now.